What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the college football betting preview futures recap. I'm Stuckey, and joining me today is the whole crew: Collin Wilson, Duck, and Mike Calabrese. Duck, aka Josh Nunn. Make sure you follow him in the Action Network app. Just search Duck, and you will find him. Quick reminder before we get started: we're going to go conference by conference, and then give out our basically like list form. Maybe a sentence or two here or there, but basically just what's still available and what we like from a win totals or futures perspective. A quick reminder on Saturday, if you want to see us all in person, we will be in Chicago for the Windy City Watch Party for Week 0. We will be there for the kickoff of the first game in Dublin, Farmageddon, and we will be there throughout the night. There's also a fantasy event with Sean Kerner and Mike Calabrese. Sean Kerner and Chris Raybon. We don't want Calabrese doing our fantasy event. Sorry, Mike. NFL, that is. I know you do a big college one, but we don't want you running that. So it'll be a lot of fun. Just show up. If you want to be in the fantasy one, you have to RSVP. But if you just want to come to watch college football, drink, hang out, just show up. Joe's on weed. Doors open 11 a.m. for that game. We'll be there all day and night. Should be a good time. So hope to see some of you there for Week 0. And speaking of Week 0, we'll have our Week 0 betting preview with Collin and I coming up. And if you hear any of these bets or any of these teams, we've covered, 15 to 20 hours of every single team. So make sure you go back, check them out if you want to get some additional insight. But we will have our Week 0 betting preview going through every game. And then next week, we'll have a bunch of Week 1 previews. We'll have the group of 5 with Breeze and Duck. Collin and I will be doing 2. We'll be doing the weekday games, and then we'll do a separate one for the games on the weekend. We're here. We're back. So let's get started and run through conference by conference. Let's start in the ACC. Collin and I did this podcast. We disagreed on every single bet. Collin, you want to list off what you like in the ACC still?
Yeah, I mean, I like Clemson to make the championship game, to win the conference, plus 105. They're going to be a favorite over anybody, so I would look at that. I like Duke over 6.5. I think Manny did a great job. I think this number is too low. I'm not a fan of Miami. I think I'm the only one in the entire circus sphere of everybody that talks on a microphone that doesn't like Miami. But other than that, I love Narduzzi. I love Pitt. I love the defense. Over 6.5. It's at plus money still. You can count me in on that.
I disagree with all of that. My long shot is Louisville to win the league. I took a shot there. I think Clemson comes in a bit overrated. Syracuse under, I think, is still good. It's been getting hit, but I don't think – basically they need to go 6-0 at home to get to 6 wins. And there's BC, UNC, Pitt, Duke, UConn on there. And then I'm thinking about Florida State and Vatech over, but still waiting there. Duck, what do you got in the ACC?
Took Cal under 5.5. That program's a mess. Mass exodus of talent after spring. I don't think they have the talent to compete in the ACC this year. Took a flyer on Georgia Tech 14-1. I think the schedule auto really did them some favors this year and who they have to play in ACC play. Big game for them in Week 3, but those are the 2 that I've got.
Don't mind that because they're going to beat Clemson. Let's move on to the AAC. I'll start at Army under, Navy under. Still good. I'm still showing value. Tulane under I like as well, but it got hit a bit. I'm kind of close now. Long shots, North Texas. USF, not so much of a long shot, but that's my horse. And then I think I'm going to be on UTSA at plus money to make the AAC title game. Would you agree with, Breeze? You like UTSA?
Yeah, let's go even bigger. UTSA 18-1 to make the college football playoff, being the G5 representative. The offense returns everybody. They got an elite G5 quarterback in Owen McCown, who's slinging around down the stretch last year. They finished so hot. They could have finished 6-1. They lost a close one-possession game to Army, who ended up running the table and going off as the conference champion there in their maiden season. I love their coach in Traylor. And then after the opener against Texas A&M, they could be favored in 9 or 10 of their next 11 games. So I think this is the team to hook up with in the AAC. The Roadrunners are back this year with a force, so I'm going to take them to make it all the way to the playoff.
Duck, you got anything in the AAC? The American, I should say.
Yeah, Tulane under 8.5, Army under 7.5, FAU under 4.5, and then took some UTSA to win the league.
Let's move on to the Big Ten. I'll kick things off there. I'm probably going to play Penn State in some fashion, maybe to just a plus money to make the Big Ten title. I see them getting there. By the way, we'll save some playoff bets for the end. I took Wisconsin over, Minnesota under, UCLA under. I still think that there's some meat on the bone there. And Oregon under, but that is getting hit very hard. Some potential overs are Washington and Indiana that I show some value on. Duck, what are you seeing in the Big Ten?
Just one here for me. Took Ohio State under 10.5. I think they lose a lot from last year's national championship team. They've got several tricky road spots. I think we'll see some trip ups this year for Ohio State. Still could be a playoff team. 10-2 seems a lot more likely to me than 11-1.
I would agree there. Colin, anything in the Big Ten?
Well, I want to echo the love that we had for USC. I still think 22-1 to win the conference. I think they're over the win total is good. I think plus 750 to make the championship game. I think that's all on the table. They could really surprise here, but I'm kind of down on the big boys. Oregon under 10.5. They just don't have the defensive interior to stop zone read. I do like Penn State, but I think it's a national title bet. It's 7-1 or better, and you're not touching that until the semifinals. Michigan, I still love. I said it on our kickoff podcast. Easiest conference schedule they could possibly have drawn. I think they will be fine after OU might whip them, and it might make them better. I think that number is still out there at plus 375 just to make the championship game. Nothing big like winning it, but that's still a pretty juicy number. So, and I still like Indiana over 8.5. We'll see what that number is by the time we get to kickoff.
All right, let's go to the Big 12. Duck, what are you seeing there?
Yeah, I took a couple early in the summer. Colorado under 6.5, BYU under 7.5, which are both gone. Kansas under 7.5, which you can still shop around and find. And then Breezy and I both took some long shots on Utah at a number that's been bet down significantly. So not a lot of value now.
Yeah, my long shot's Houston. That you can still find some nice prices out there. Betting on the Fritz turnaround, and if the quarterback hits, I think they could be feisty in a conference that should be chaotic as usual. And I do show value in West Virginia over, but not sure I'll get there just with so much turnover and uncertainty there. And I will get in on Baylor at some point to win the league. I'm just trying to figure out the timing with their tough non-conference schedule and still trying to get some intel there. But Baylor is my pick to win the Big 12. Colin, what do you got in the Big 12?
Now, Iowa State's going to win it. 12-1 is still out there. I mean, they're one of the teams that aren't listed at 6-1 to win the conference, so why not? 12-1 on Iowa State. I do love them. Echo all the Houston love. Don't forget that Fritz now has his offensive coordinator from Tulane. They're going to be able to roll over there. TCU, I think both you and I like TCU this year. A really good, conducive schedule. We'll see what Hoover can do, and some of the defenses they face are going to be able to throw on. And Texas Tech, Quentin Joyner, done for the season. Under 8.5 is still a plus money. I feel like I've seen this movie before with Texas Tech and these teams that load up on NIL, but just don't have the pedigree and the program to put out these huge. I mean, a 9-win season from Tech, that'd be crazy. So under 8.5 plus money.
All right, let's move on to the Mountain West. Breeze, you like yourself some Bows who will kick off this weekend on the island.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bows. They have 7 winnable home games. I think they're going to get 6 of them and get to that bowl eligibility threshold. They're still out in the market to go bowling at about minus 160. Micah Alihado, I mean, he's the savior of this program. He's the native son coming back, played at Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas and played in some really big football games in high school. If he was just a little bit bigger, he would have been a 4-star kid. You flip on the tape against New Mexico at the end of last year, he could make every single throw. He's mobile. Timmy Chang loves to rely on a quarterback to add a lot in the rush game, the 7th heaviest usage for quarterbacks in the run game in the last 5 years in college football. And the starting 11 on defense, I think it's middle class by Mountain West Conference standards, and that's going to be enough to pair with this offense and this receiving core in particular that I think is going to be one of the very best in the G5. So I'm going to go with the Bows to make a bowl game.
Yeah, they just got to figure out both their corner spots is my one concern there. And defensive tackle a bit, but we'll talk about that game on the Week 0 preview. I agree there. You can parlay teams to go 6+ wins. Hawaii's going to be in. I'll throw a couple of them in the app and bet them. Hawaii's going to be in there. Same with Air Force. Air Force, we don't even know who their quarterback is yet. We'll hopefully find out this week. But I took a flyer on Air Force to win the conference. I think Boise's a tad overrated, and the rest of the conference is completely wide open. I think this is a good bounce back season for Calhoun. Duck, what do you got in Mountain West?
Took San Diego State over 4.5. Thought that one came out a win too low. A little disagreement on Hawaii, but we all can still win. I took under 6.5 earlier in the summer. You can still find that number juiced. I think they're playing Wyoming on the last game of the season to try to get to a bowl game. And we've seen them in that position before. So I think it's a 6-6 football team. So maybe we all win.
Here for it. Conference USA. I'll kick things off.
Do I get to
here.
go?
What? You muted. You were cutting out.
Oh, I was gonna say, do I get to go Mountain West?
Oh, yeah, Mountain West. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to do San Jose State plus 220 to make the championship game. This is the easiest schedule, the easiest path. No Boise State, no UNLV on the schedule. They're going to be just fine there. After that, Colorado State under 6.5. That schedule gets remarkably harder than what they had last year when they had to change their entire offense and go running. Now they're passing again. Not sure Fowler Nicolosi has the weapons that he's had in the years past. Look at this schedule. Boise on back-to-back travel and then hosting Air Force. I don't see this happening for Colorado State.
All right, good stuff there. Let's move on to Conference USA. My long shot. How about another one where we don't know the quarterback yet? UTEP, Minor Nation, baby. I took a flyer on UTEP. We'll discuss more as we get closer to the season. I'll have a write-up on all my favorite futures, too. On ActionNetwork.com, the Action Network app. And then Sam Houston State under. I still think there's meat on the bone. Like, brand new offense. I don't know. Mettauer's probably going to end up being the quarterback eventually, but Watson doesn't fit. The defense lost their top 16 tacklers. It's going to be a mess. So give me my beloved Sam Houston State under, unfortunately. Duck, Conference USA.
Yeah, wide open league after the first two, and a lot of bad football teams. I took Middle Tennessee over 4.5, took New Mexico State under 4.5, played some Jacksonville State at a number that's no longer available. So,
Calabrese.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jacksonville State under 5.5 wins. Total refresh roster-wise with a first-time head coach in Charles Kelly. I hate this quarterback room. I don't think this is going to be a right fit schematically. I think this is going to be one of those rare fall from grace, first to worst situations. It just happens in the portal era when you get somebody who moves up like Rich Rod, takes some players with him, and then there's just this exodus. They are not going to play anywhere close to the brand of football that they did last year. So under 5.5 wins is my top play in Conference USA.
Yeah, I don't want to be too heavily invested in Conference USA because like there's a lot of teams that are so bad and I'm down on, but then it's like someone has to win these games. They can't. Everyone can't lose. Independent. We have something with Notre Dame in the playoff section, but UConn under 7.5 I think is still good. They got decimated on defense and in particular the tackle position, which I think is really going to hurt their offense. Pac-12 or Pac-2, I should say. Duck, you like the Wazoo under, which has been getting hit. I kind of like that as well. I disagree with Collin on our podcast. You still like Washington State under?
I do. We got so much FCS talent infused into the roster. Now we've got 2 years now where they're not recruiting the same type of Pac-12 athletes that they were in the past. You've got a total nucleus drop down in talent, and you go east of the Mountain Time Zone 4 times this year. They've got so many tricky road spots: North Texas, Virginia, James Madison, Ole Miss. It's just going to be brutal on the road this year. And they face Oregon State twice with the Beavers coming off a bye both times. I think it'll be a tough year for Wazoo.
All right, Sunbelt, Calabrese.
Yeah, Sunbelt here. This is the team we talked about the most, and it's Southern Miss. I'd like them still to go bowling. A lot of the numbers that we had for them to win the conference title are out the window, but the quick read on them is a massive talent infusion from all those roster pieces from Marshall. Obviously, the head coach comes down from Marshall. Braylon Braxton, the newcomer of the year in the Sun Belt last year, takes over at quarterback. He could be the best quarterback in Hattiesburg since Nick Mullins. Josh Moden on the defensive side of things and some other transfers I think are going to bring them up into the middle class defensively in the Sun Belt. And the most underrated coaching hire across the entire country was getting Blake Anderson to take over as their OC. He could unleash a monster of an offense here in the belt. I see them getting to 7 or 8 regular season wins and clearly going bowling. So whatever the juice is, lay it on the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, I show value in the under. I mean, I'd have to upgrade Southern Miss 17.5 points to get them to their win total from the end of last year. And maybe it's true. Like they could be 3 touchdowns better. I just can't get there. I'm probably not going to play the under though. I also show value in Coastal over just because I love their defensive hires, but not sure I'll get there. My favorite bet was Marshall under, but that got burnt. So Duck, Sunbelt.
Yeah, hit Marshall earlier in the summer. That value has been exhausted. I like Arkansas State under 5.5. Most of their winnables are on the road. I just don't see it with what they've got coming back defensively for Arkansas State. Took JMU to win the league 3-1. I also like JMU to make the playoff. They have a program-defining opportunity when they go to Louisville in week 2. They also get a de facto G5 playoff game when they play Liberty shortly after that, and they get all that out of the way before conference play. Their conference slate really sets up favorably with a lot of those tough teams coming into Harrisonburg to play them at home. A lot of the road games are winnable. JMU, I think, is the cream of the crop in the Sun Belt this year.
Collin?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything with Arkansas State, and by the way, Arkansas State, you're not winning in Little Rock. Get out of here. James Madison, I echo everything. I think that they are going to win the conference. 3-1 is the play that you want. I'd go down to plus 250. They are a head and toe beyond anybody in this conference. Over 7.5 is good. I do disagree with Duck on buying about them going to the playoff. If you're going to go to the playoff, you're going to have to win that massive game against Louisville. So I would just rather take a money line ticket on that and not have to suffer through 11 other games of crossing my fingers and hoping something happens. I disagree with you on Coastal Carolina stuff. This is a defense, the defensive line, the defensive backs completely depleted. Their new DC, Jeremiah Johnson, is like, we're just playing base defense until these guys know how to play defense. And then is MJ Morris going to run the air raid? I don't like anything that I'm seeing. So I'm going to go under 5.5 with them. And then Georgia Southern, under 7.5. I project them 2 TD dogs against James Madison. They do draw Arkansas State and Southern Miss from the West. I don't think drawing Southern Miss is a good thing. So I do like Georgia Southern on the under 7.5.
All right, moving on. I mean, the Southern Miss gives me that. Like you mentioned, Texas Tech. Southern Miss is. I mean, it's not transfer portal, but there's a lot of like they're just importing a team, and we'll see how. I mean, it's a fascinating watch within the same conference too. Let's move on to the MAC. Talk some MACtion. I will have my MAC manifesto out next week. Going through every team. We added a 13th team in UMass. Ohio under is my favorite bet. I still like it. It's been getting hit a little bit, but I still think there's value. I think their defense takes a big step back, and they lost some other key pieces, including their head coach. And then long shots, BG and Central Michigan. I know, Collin, you agree on Central Michigan.
Yeah.
I think there's just a ton of uncertainty in this conference as usual. So
if you're going to take Conference USA, Sun Belt, MAC, especially, if you're going to take long shots, I want you guys to remember that like Central Michigan lost their first MAC conference game in 2019, still made the championship game that year. They were 300-1 after that first loss. This is a wild conference. And so if you're looking at Central Michigan this year, they've basically inherited what Army's new offense is, and that's going to be run. And that is going to screw up so many MAC defenses that aren't going to be prepared to face that kind of offense. So yeah, CMU, I like it. You 20-1 or better anywhere you can get it.
Yeah, you mentioned Central Michigan. They went from I think winless in the MAC, or maybe 1-11, and then I think they were in the MAC title game the next year. So, all right, Duck, anything in the MAC?
Yeah, I took Akron under 4.5. No postseason play with the APR ban, no bye week, end their season earlier than any FBS team. Just not going to be a good season for the Zips. You can search far and wide to find this, but Kent State under 1.5 conference wins is still out there, so I would take that. We've talked about the flashes this season, way down in the power ratings. The talent is just not there. It's not an FBS roster. Not going to win 2 MAC games. Also took Buffalo 8-1 to win the league. Buffalo should start MAC play 6-0, and it really comes down to them hosting Ohio and hosting Miami of Ohio last 2 games of the regular season to get their ticket punched to Detroit. So Buffalo to win the league, I like.
Nobody ever should start 6-0 MAC play. That's just not going to happen. Sorry. Breeze, MAC?
Yeah, all of my favorite numbers are gone, including one that was ridiculous. It was 80-1 for Toledo to make the college football playoff early in the season at one of the books that's since been pulled. But I can just go ahead and give out. I think they're going to beat Kentucky in week 1. I think that's the way I'm going to play them to shock the world, although that number is getting beaten down by the minute.
All right, SEC. Collin, what do you got?
Hold on, let me get there. A lot of this is where I'm taking my big swings here. I think Alabama is a national title worthy defense. I think they are the best defense under Kane Womack. They had numbers that were all in the top 10. I expect that to get better with some of the personnel that stayed. But Texas at the same time has a schedule that's a little bit softer in strength, and they have a little bit easier path in making it to the championship game. They are loaded in every single unit, and you expect Arch Manning to be that Heisman favorite there for the entirety of the season. Outside of that, I think you and I agreed completely, and I still think the number is good. Under 7.5 on South Carolina. What they lost on defense just can't be replaced. And Lenora Sellers is now running the RPO with a bunch of kids that are 5'9", 190 pounds. That's not Rocket Sanders. I just don't understand how this offense could be just Lenora Sellers just making shit up behind the pocket when I don't think he's going to be as protected. He doesn't have the same weapons. So under 7.5 for South Carolina for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm way more concerned about the South Carolina defense. It's going to take a big step back with all the talent they lost. Tennessee under as well. Not an Aguilar guy, and I think it's a rebuilding year for Tennessee. reset year. I do show value in Vanderbilt and Florida overs. Not sure if I'll get there for various reasons we talked about in the pod. And then also the Texas under. I do show a little bit value there. Not sure I'll get there. Calabrese, you don't have anything in the SEC, nor does Duck. So let's move on to the college football playoff. I'll just briefly say how I think it's going to play out. Last year we had 4 Big Ten, 1 Big 12, 2 ACC, 1 Group of 5, 3 SEC, and Notre Dame. I think it's similar this year, but we're going to flip 1 Big Ten for an SEC. So I think we're going to get 4 SEC teams, 3 Big Ten, not Oregon. So who could that be, potentially? USC. I played them to make the playoff. Who could that extra SEC team be? There's a lot of uncertainty at the top of the SEC because of the quarterback play. So I took Texas A&M. I think they have a really high floor. I think Elko is going to help fix the defense. Their offensive line, their running game is going to be really good. We'll see what their passing attack is, but I think they have a really, really high floor. And then I will be on I played some LSU to win the SEC. I'm just trying to figure out the timing of when I want to bet them to make the playoff. Is it like before or after the Clemson game? So I'll have some more exposure on the upside of LSU as well. Collin, I'll go to you. Playoff, you have Notre Dame. I know you like. Anything else?
I do love Notre Dame, but specifically on the SEC, it's definitely not LSU, the team that I'm hot on. Of course, Alabama and Texas, I think, make the playoff. But if there's a long shot team you should grab, I think it's Oklahoma. Oklahoma over 6.5 is one of the plays I made. I love John Mateer. I love Ben Arbuckle. This defensive line and linebacker should be the best front seven in all of the SEC, and that is making a statement. From the Big Ten perspective, I don't think it's going to be Oregon. I agree with you. Penn State, Ohio State, probably making the playoff. I know Penn State is. Ohio State, I have questions about their coordinators, but if there's one out there that I like, if I think Michigan can make the Big Ten championship game, then I don't understand why it is they can't make the playoff. I'm not sure Indiana can get past 9 wins. Same thing for SMU down in the ACC. Clemson might be the only team that's going there. I don't have any love for Miami. I think Louisville is great, but they fall into a horrible scheduling spot against SMU. Probably one of the worst in the whole season of any team is that Louisville team playing on SMU. So, from a playoff perspective, if I had a long shot out there that I would take, it'd probably be Oklahoma.
Clemson can't be the only team from the ACC because they're not going to win the ACC. So just throwing that out there. Duck, I know you mentioned did you mention JMU?
Yeah, I did.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I echo the sentiments that Collin had said, but nothing else for me here.
Calabrese?
I think there's going to be another kind of wild story out of the Big Ten crashing the playoff party. If you like Washington at 9-1 or Iowa at 8-1, you look at their 2 schedules. All their big games seem to be at home, those opportunities. Washington's got Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois at home. Iowa has Penn State, which they've pulled that trick before. A top 5 Penn State team comes to Iowa City. They lose. I like Gronowski. I like Damon Williams Jr. Stuck. I mean, we can go back and wax poetic about what Jed Fish did with Noah Fafita. As soon as Jed Fish left the desert, he turned back into a pumpkin. I think this is the year he elevates that kid into a fringe Heisman candidate. And I think that's why having a ticket on one of these teams or potentially both is not a bad way to go out of the Big Ten.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Breeze, Collin, and Duck. Thanks to our producer, Matt Mitchell. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. If you want more insight, make sure you check out all of the conference previews to get you ready for the season. We dive into every single team. It's 15 to 20 hours. I don't even know how long we recorded. Week 0 previews will be out. Week 1 next week. Before you know it, voicemails will be back. Don't forget 959 Bad Beat. We'll be hearing all of you screaming at us throughout the season. It should be a lot of fun. But thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out this time of the year. I'll do some giveaways shortly, and hope to see some of you in Chicago. Cheers.